Welcome to, that was a bit loud, to a Celtic State of Mind. I'm Paul John Dykes, and I'm delighted to be joined on this Monday afternoon by Jerry Taylor and Kevin McCluskey, both wearing proper retro tops. Jerry, that reminds me of a vintage Paul McStay, early 80s, nice green with the white pinstripe. And Kevin McCluskey is gorgeous. So is the guy wearing it. Kevin McCluskey, the V-neck. There's no unnecessary detail. It's beautiful, simplistic in its style. Kevin McCluskey, half man, half biscuit, but you're wearing the home top of a certain Dukla Prague. Looking cracking, though, I've got to say.
Thank you very much. I've been called worse things than a half a biscuit before.
Well, we were just chatting before we came on. What is the food of choice when watching Acsom? Because Jerry was telling me he likes to get the munchies out at night when he's watching on the catch-up. What do you eat when you're watching Acsom? Interesting wee question to start off the day. What is it you're eating, Jerry, when you're watching Acsom at night time?
Like I was saying off camera there, I'm fasting just now, so right. I don't eat during the day, and at night time I can eat whatever I want. Right, I gorge, so I watch Acsom even if I'm on it. I'll still watch it, probably more so. And do you know what I'm addicted to just now, right? There's a wee shop, a Premier, right? And it sells this, there's a bakery, Dell's Rolls, other bakeries are available. And they sell these like apple slices, right? And they've got caramel on the top, so it's like a toffee apple slice. So I can bang 3 of them away and no bother. And then, the wee individual fruit trifles.
Is there a joke in that?
So, no, there's no. I'm like the wee old woman, my wee individual fruit trifle, but I get like the 3-pack, so I can eat them, but there's still room for more. So now I went on to the big trifle for the family. So I'll easily polish one of them off. But it's usually micro meals, because I'm just myself, so I'm not to cook for.
No, but
violin in the world.
I know it's a Monday afternoon, and we're giving all this health advice to our listeners. So hopefully, all over the world, that you're following Jerry's healthy advice.
Protein shake
during the day. And then dip caramel wafers and ice cream at night. That's what we get all about. Now, the supercomputer out there gave Celtic an undeniably tough start to the season. Kevin McCluskey, obviously there was a gremlin in that system because we got 6 away games at the first 10. We just played the 5th away game there at the weekend, and that followed Pittodrie, Ibrox. I'm going to call it Livingston because I'm not going down the sponsor route. Livingston, right? What did it used to be called? Almondvale, Fir Park, and then Tynecastle, followed by Easter Road, obviously, in the next fixture. And we've won all 5 of them. And I just think, we said it a few times over the weekend, Kev, this is just Brendan Rodgers doing Brendan Rodgers things. Whatever is kind of steeped up in front of him, he'll deal with it. He'll bulldozer his way through it. And I think we've seen that again at the weekend, didn't we?
Aye, I think we did. I think that supercomputer needs to go into the store and get fixed, because how on earth you can get those to your 6 away games in the first 10 matches of the season it's beyond.
I think we know. I think we know how that
I've no idea how this happens.
I think we do know the reason why, yes. But aye, every single challenge that Brendan's teams come up against this season, domestically anyway, they've risen to it and they've overcome it. The football's not always been the free-flowing, scintillating style that we've seen under Ange, but it's probably a better style of football now, because we're going into games and we're killing them, and we're killing the opposition for 20 minutes at a time in the second half, and then when we need to, we're just raising it back up again and like just plunging the sword in that wee bit further every single time. Every question that's been asked, there's been at least 1, if not 2 answers given back by Brendan's team so far. So
the thing is, Kevin, some people might say, hark back to the Viaplay Cup, early knockout of the League Cup tournament. But what I would say to counter that is, when you look at the starting lineup compared to what we're playing now, I think that speaks volumes. I was looking at it this morning. Joe Hart in goals, Tony Ralston at right back with Taylor at left back, both playing a more defensive, traditional style of fullback at that point, if you'll remember. We were still going through the permutations at centre-back, and on that particular day it was Nawrocki and Lagerbielke at the back for Celtic, the midfield O'Reilly, McGregor and Holm, with Abada, Kyogo and Maida up top. So I think when people maybe point out and say, but you never won that game, we were still getting to, I think the gaffer was still getting to know his best team, Jerry. And that was through a combination of injuries and quite a few new players coming in trying to obviously test the water with some of those as well. But it seems now that he's got a rhythm. We know, I think, what our strongest 11 is now, and that is the team that lined up at Tynecastle on Sunday. But now it seems as though we're into the groove, and it's happened at the perfect time with the European game coming up on Wednesday, Jerry.
Yeah, there was a different feel about it yesterday. I was obviously on the way back home. I was having to listen to it on the radio in the car. And Kev, Big Delicious, I love what you were saying, right? About how when some people were trying to say how poor Hearts were, and you jumped on it and you were like, no, we made them look poor, basically, with how well we played. And you could hear it on the radio. Sometimes I think when you're just listening to it and you're not losing focus by watching, try to watch everything else. And Celtic were all over them. And up until even the commentators on the radio, up until 55, 60 minutes, were saying, Hearts, we don't even know what they're trying to do here. Because I think Celtic had just bombarded them. I love the fact that we're putting the game to bed early enough now that we can bring on the likes of Bernardo and Yang to try and give them a bit more of a run with less pressure on them when the game's won. The same with O. See when O come on, it's like that boy just needs a good run because he's getting into the positions and he's not got enough time. So I think he's like, I need to get this goal. So he's snatching a bit. And I just think when he's getting a proper run, we've got a real player on our hands when it comes to O as well. But exciting, and it was like one of the first times I was like, when we missed the penalty, I thought, wait a minute here, are we going to end up giving a goal back away and then putting the pressure on? But we didn't. We got that other goal. Just real professional performance, and so many players just getting huge pass marks now, especially. And then another one that Scales has come through, and it's just like, and you're just a great central defender now, and it's not a case of, I'm not waiting for him to make a mistake anymore, if that makes sense. I'm just like, he's our centre-back now.
Yeah. I think we went through that same journey with Tony Ralston. We did. You know, it was almost as if, right, he's playing out his skin, but when's he going to make that boob? When's he going to cost us a goal, cost us a game? And then it got to the point where Tony Ralston was playing right back, and that was just it. And now I think having strengthened at the back, we now have Alistair Johnson there and Tony Ralston. I think you can trust them as a stand-in. Whatever happens now with Liam Scales, who knows? I mean, I mentioned Nawrocki there. He's back in training. He didn't make the bench. Neither did Lagerbielke, strangely enough. We spoke about that yesterday because he is fit. Lagerbielke was playing for Sweden in the break. Didn't make the bench. What does that say about his future at the club? Does Brendan Rodgers fancy him? Listen, I'm really keen to get as many comments in to today's show as possible. Some might say Jungle Lion's name always pops up. That's because he's generally the first guy to comment, and here he is. Steamroller is only starting. Yeah, the Brendan Rodgers Steamroller is only starting. Now, here we go. I've ran with the tagline, 9 league games in, and Celtic fans are chanting Brendan Rodgers' name again, because we've been talking about his legacy, repairing the legacy. But here's the counter to that from Michael McDonald. Wait till he wins us 10 in a row and then sing his name. That's what it cost us when he left. Right, so we've got to sing his name when we get a really good victory at Tynecastle. Kevin, what's your thoughts?
I think we can sing his name now. I think that's quite all right. Aye. This is coming from me, the man who I think I've got it in print on AXOMblog.net, whatever it is, sorry. I didn't want
He sold that well, eh? AXOMblog.net, whatever it is. Aye. The actual title.
Completely forgotten what the name of it is. That the name of our own website. So
Axom.net. Just as Jerry is
Axom.net/blog.
He's stroking that picture of Jerry with Brendan. Look at that.
Mr. Brendan.
Just me and my pal.
Jerry has forgiven him. Well, Kevin, you've forgiven him. Yes.
And I was vocal about it.
I'm forgiving him. I'm forgiving him now. Like, as I said, I'm on the blog as having said I didn't want him within 100 miles of the club, but now that he's Jerry's big mate, I can't say that. But he is going a long way though, isn't he? I mean, where I was coming from, it was purely emotional. Right? I'm still reeling and hurting from the way he left. And Jerry's said it before and some other ones, it's because we love him so much. That's why it hurts. See, if he was just a random manager that had come in and done a couple of seasons, if it was Ronnie Dyler, and that's how Dyler left us, nobody would care. But we love Brendan so much, the way that he got us going in his first time. And that's why it hurts. But he's winning me back. I mean, what are we? 8 wins out of 9 in the league, 7 points clear.
Yeah.
What's not to like?
No,
especially with that run of games we've had.
No, you're right, Jerry. And I think you know, if you throw, let's say, Lazio into the mix, right, because it looked for a spell that we were actually going to win that game, Louis Palmer, who we'll be talking about later on when we run through some of the individual performances, if you added in a Champions League win into the mix, it would have been, you know, elevating it to another level. Will we do it on Wednesday? Tough game. It's hard to say. Martin Davey, however, is going for 2-1 for Celtic on Wednesday night. Jerry, you will be there. James McKenzie will be representing a Celtic State of Mind after the game in the press conference. He too will get an opportunity to meet Brendan Rodgers. Jerry, I just don't know if he'll get up close and personal like you did.
One day. I don't think it was going to happen. But tell you what, is James looking forward to sitting next to me for a whole game? For a whole...
Of course he is.
I can't wait. Can't wait.
I did the amount of people coming up asking for a selfie with you, though. Right, and then we go into Joe Hamilton. Brendan is special, and he's come back to right the wrongs of the past. A true Celtic man. I do get the sense of that. I really do think this is a massive repairing of the legacy. Michael earlier on said he's not going to chant his name until he's won 10 in a row. Will he stay for 10 seasons? I'm not too sure. Barry O'Sullivan, how embarrassing was it yesterday to see so many empty seats? How are we meant to attract top talent with this as game of the week? Embarrassing, says Barry. I want to talk about that, right? We touched on it a wee bit yesterday, Kev, you and I. I'll come to you first, Jerry. Right, so we're being told, right, that these teams, because Motherwell have done it, and obviously Rangers have done it, Hearts have done it, they're reducing allocation. And what they're trying to explain is that they're looking after their own fans. Now, I can see that argument. And I mentioned yesterday that JP had that discussion with Alan Burrows, now the CEO up at Aberdeen, but then the Motherwell CEO. They want to build trust and a community feel, and they want to do that within the hub of their own fan base. Right, I get it. So then you turn up, and what you find out is that they've not sold their tickets, Jerry. There's loads of faded maroon seats all over the stadium. They haven't bothered to go to the game. So their business plan, their strategy doesn't add up for me. It doesn't add up. So I'm now looking at it, and some might say this is paranoid. I don't think they want Celtic fans in their stadium. Now, if that's the case, if they don't want Celtic in their stadium, maybe Celtic shouldn't be in their stadium. Maybe Celtic, as a priority as a club, should be definitely going full throttle to enhance our own club and the brand and everything else that comes with that by looking elsewhere. What's your thoughts on it, Jerry?
I think the whole thing, and this isn't just at Hearts or any individual club, this whole thing with the stadiums is an absolute joke. It's an embarrassment. For years and years, there's not been an issue, and then all of a sudden it changes, and now we're trying to find other ways to fix something that wasn't ever really broken. And I understand people wanting to get enough of their own fans in, but yesterday, just like the comment come up, was an absolute embarrassment for people watching that in the telly. I've already got a slagging off one of my pals, right? And it's like from down south, because we're always talking about our game compared to theirs. And that was an embarrassment. It was nothing to do with just because they were getting beaten and they left. There was empty seats well before then.
Yeah.
And that's on live TV. I think it's all come, well, it was a few years ago now it happened, and we all know why this all started to happen. And people are like putting their head in the sand, forgetting why it's all happened. It just needs to go back to the way it used to be. We'll get to this game later, but when I was at the women's game yesterday, it was half and half, and it was a great atmosphere. Wasn't the best result, but what an atmosphere. And it was just, I just think it's the whole, I might be naivety or ignorance on my part, but I think the whole thing is an absolute embarrassment right now.
It is. It's an embarrassment because you're trying to sell the game. And Kev, we were talking about this yesterday. Scottish football is a product that people want to buy into. You could have sold so many more tickets for that match. Hearts refused to do it. They've lost money. It will come round to transfer window in January. They won't have money to buy players, and they'll be scratching their head asking themselves why. Talk about short-sightedness, Kev. You know, and I look at other teams who know they're not going to sell the tickets. They give you 3 stands. And, you know, does it turn the advantage of the home side against them? Well, of course it doesn't. There was hardly any fans in at Tynecastle yesterday, and we absolutely trounced them. So I'm not having that argument either. If they were doing things within the hub of their fan base and, season on season increasing the average attendance, season ticket sales, etc., I get it, but it's not happening, is it?
It's not. I've got no issue with any club deciding to cut our allocation as long as they fill their bit of the stand. So if they take our allocation away, that club must sell those tickets and fill it. Otherwise, they've made a farce of the decision. It's been going on for years and years, though, that no one seems to be able to fill a stadium in Scotland. I'll go back to it's 11 years ago. I was doing my dissertation at uni, and it was on the demise of a club from the other side of Glasgow and how that would affect every other club. And I was looking at attendances, and everyone's getting about 40% attendance for their games. Mm-hmm. And that's probably not changed that much from 11 years ago to now. So you've got this game where you could fill your stadium out 2 times over with the amount of Celtic fans that will come.
Yep.
You could charge Celtic fans £15 to £20 more per ticket, and we'll pay it because we just want to go and watch our team. So you're doubly winning out of this. You're putting the game live on TV. TV audience doesn't really care who's at the game, right? They just want to see a good game and a good atmosphere. So they've seen a full stadium, brilliant atmosphere, especially at Tynecastle, where it's going to be an almost healthy toxic because you've got 2 set of fans that just don't like each other, but they're going at each other. It makes it a brilliant game. And they've totally shot themselves in the foot. What is the benefit of Hearts having a half-empty stadium, losing it in all that revenue, and getting no benefit of shutting out the Celtic fans and then still getting pumped 4-1?
Pumped. He was so eloquent until the last sentence there, Jerry. And they still got pumped 4-1.
Such a good word.
For anyone in Costa Rica who is tuning into the show, Kevin, do you want to explain the terminology of getting a pumping in Scotland? Or one of them, anyway.
Getting a pumping. In football parlance, that means you've had your backside handed to you.
All right, I'm sure that's making it a lot more clear to Costa Rican fans. Edward Moore, good afternoon, guys. Great win yesterday, some great goals. My favourite goal was a Wata, great finish, and hopefully a result on Wednesday. We're going to be talking about each of the individual goal scorers. The chap who set up the first goal, Louis Palma, the man who missed the penalty. We'll be talking about all of these guys. Big shout out to Feed the Bear for supporting the channel. Thank you all for getting involved on a regular basis. It's astonishing every single day that we go on that, for example, right now we've got 712 people watching this live from all over the globe. It's phenomenal. And keep the comments coming in. But before we move on, we've got Jerry sitting with his Celtic jersey on. We've got Kevin McCluskey sitting with his Dukla Prague one on, Stroke State of Mind. Jerry, before I get into the subject I want to talk to you about, I would love to see that jersey you're wearing, but and I've said it before, canary yellow with the green pinstripes. That would be stunning.
Oh, aye.
That would
can somebody Photoshop it?
I think so.
That's a great shout.
That would be good. I do love a yellow away kit. But talking of jerseys, you have got a big Jambo starting to sweat, haven't you?
Yes.
On his radio show. Tell us the story. What's the story with that?
So about, I think it was April, wasn't it, that I tweeted it? So in April, Ewan Cameron from Clyde Super Scoreboard and the Big Scottish Football Podcast, he's actually a genuine lovely guy, right? But he winds folk up online. So he was giving it as usual that Hearts are going to batter everyone. And I just says, look, my prediction is Hearts will start well as always. You'll say they're going to win the league and then they'll drop off and they'll be rubbish. And that's pretty much.
And they'll have no money in January to buy new players because they've no sold tickets to Celtic. Yes.
So he was giving it the big one and he says, oh, you've got 2 tough games. You'll have Hibs and Hearts. He says, you'll beat Hibs, but Hearts will pump us. That was his word. So I was like, now, bearing in mind, troops, this was back in my drinking days. It was months ago, right? So I was drunk this night. It could have been one of the last nights I ever drank. Anyway, so the bet I've made with him, and thank the Lord that Celtic won yesterday, by the way, because I said that I was going to go up to Edinburgh if the Hearts beat us, go on my hands and knees in the city centre and kiss the heart of Midlothian. Now, if anyone doesn't know, people go and make wishes at the heart of Midlothian and they spit at it. So clearly I was drunk. So all day yesterday, I'm like, oh, what if we... I was confident we're going to win, but you've always got that little bit. And I'm thinking about going up with a belt pack with bleach and domestos and all that. But luckily, we won, and I won another bet. Well, I won one bet for once. and he's actually going to do it. So I think he's filming the podcast just now, and he's got to wear a Celtic top while he hosts. But I've given him an alternative. I've given him a get out, whether or not he got my message or not. So we'll see how it unfolds. I have given him an alternative that will help a great cause. So we'll see what happens.
Yes, absolutely. And talking of which, we might have mentioned once or twice on the show that Celtic Select was pulled together by Acsom to face the St. Roch's team up at James McGrory Park for the centenary match. It was a huge success. Jerry made friends with Brendan Rodgers and a few others. And we are...
You haven't mentioned it, Paul.
I know. I just thought...
I'll tell you all about it one day.
Yeah. But we are at the stages of organising another big game for charity for 2024. Watch this space. We'll give you more information as it arrives. Ian Laurie, got to admit, says Ian, I wasn't a fan of Brendan coming back, but we are starting to play great football. Hearts tried to play, we smothered them. That's the point Kevin McCluskey made yesterday. It wasn't about how badly Hearts were playing, it was how good we were, how strong we were, and getting off to that quick start as well. Marquis watched our penalty again several times, and Cochrane definitely fouls Kyogo. Knee, thighs him. You see the impact, momentum in real time, and the contact, if you see it in slow motion, there's an angle where you actually see the impact of Cochrane against Kyogo's leg. So absolutely, I'm not calling it a soft penalty. I think the taking of the penalty was pretty soft, but we'll come back to Rio. Chill pill, give Hearts 576 tickets, stick them in the restricted view area and sell the extra tickets to Celtic fans. Easy. Yes, I'm sure there has to be a change in this particular situation when it comes to allocations. And Stevie Boy, credit where it's due for the manager. I'm not going to start singing his name just yet. Will a win on Wednesday night?
Boy, I like it. Hard to get.
A win against Atletico Madrid on Wednesday night might change your mind. Right, we'll start off with the goal scorers then. 3 minutes into the game, Matt O'Reilly scores an absolute belter of a goal. The technique in that finish, the body shape, the whole thing. And obviously we'll get to the ball, but let's talk about it finish first. Kevin McCluskey. This is a player that, he showed us enough that we thought he had a high ceiling, but now he's actually shown us just how good he is this season. Obviously, credit goes to the player, but you also look at the manager and you look at the part that maybe Brendan Rodgers is playing in this as well. O'Reilly seems to have a bit of a freedom about him. He's in amongst the goals, 6 goals now, top goal scorer alongside Kyogo. That was the one area of the game that we were a wee bit critical of him last season when it came to scoring goals. Well, he's making up for it now, isn't he?
Right. Yesterday's goal doubled his goal tally in the league anyway for the whole of last season. So in 9 games this season, he's already scored more than he hit in the whole of last season. That's all you need to know about the improvement in his game going forward, because it was the one thing that he had to improve, really. Because last season we saw him going from being, when he came in, he was this kind of creative player that found wee pockets of space and was playing these good passes, he'd chip in with a goal every now and again. Then last season, when McGregor went out, he suddenly just became a number 6, and he was brilliant in being the number 6, but he lost the edge in front of goal. He'd hit like 70 shots at goal, I think, before he scored his first goal last season. And now, whatever Brendan's done with him, between coming in the summer and now, you can just see it's paying off. Mm-hmm. Every time he gets in front of goal, he looks really comfortable and confident. I think he's hitting his shots earlier, and he'd mentioned that after, it might even just have been the opening game against Dundee, where he went, Ross County, his opening game, where he says probably last season I'd have taken an extra touch or I'd have looked to square the ball, but instead this time I thought I'll be a bit unselfish, I'll take the shot on, and he puts it in the top corner. And he's doing that week in, week out now. And those goals that we spoke about yesterday, the one against Motherwell, and then yesterday's goal, it's the cushion control. He's not lashing at anything. It's pinpoint accuracy. He's doing it at the vital times in the games. I mean, the boy's ceiling is getting taller and taller with every game he plays. He's a player that we'll look back on, like Van Dijk probably. We'll look back on him in 5 years' time and go, do you mind when he played for Celtic? How lucky were we to have Matt O'Reilly? He's got that potential.
He's going to be in that team that you dream of, that had we kept all the star players together, you put the team together and you think, wow, we could do something in Europe here. With Van Dijk, Wanyama, Foster.
A Celtic team of the decade with those kind of boys in it.
Aye,
Absolutely.
He's playing his way into that side, no doubt about it. Jerry, you're itching to get in on the action on Matt O'Reilly.
Well, look at the length of the contracts. We've got a lot of them on now.
Yeah.
This could be a possibility. We keep this group, this core together. Now, Kev, I want to ask you something because I was thinking this last night when I was watching the highlights. You came into my head. So see the ball for Palmer for the goal to O'Reilly. So you've used the term delicious before for a ball in. If that last ball was delicious, what would you call that ball for Palmer? What word would you use for that?
Scrumptious.
Scrumptious like that. Which word you used in the group chat the other day, Paul? Rambunctious.
Rambunctious, yes. I just nick words when I'm watching films. That's a good word. I'll use that in the group chat.
It was a pure gallus ball over the top. That's what it was.
Gallus.
Yeah, I like that.
I've just realised why my light is bad. I've not turned my light on. Hold on, 2 seconds.
It usually helps, Jerry. Just give it a wee flip.
God.
Brilliant. Joe S. Nawrocki gets back. I'd move Scales to left back. Right. The reason I'm bringing this in is Nawrocki was obviously bought as a starter. He was bought with you look at the cost of him. He was bought as a starter. I don't think moving Scales to left back solves anything, to be honest with you. Right. So I'll start off with that. Was Scales the player we're watching just now playing at left back, Kevin? Was he that player when he played at left back? I don't think he was. I really don't. And I remember him getting the number 5. He got his squad number and he spoke about his best position. He was asked in the press conference, what's your best position? Left side of the central defensive area. That's his best position. That's where he's playing now. That's where he's excelling. Why would you change him?
Well, I wouldn't, for starters. Because my ill feeling or ill thoughts towards or about Liam Scales at the start of this season was because I'm basing it on him being a left back mainly for us under Ange, and he never looked comfortable. I don't remember him putting in very many solid performances there, and I never really saw him when he was at Aberdeen because I don't watch Aberdeen games. But you're hearing reports here and there. Some games he was really good, others he was pretty awful. He's the hero because he scored a wonder goal against Rangers, but really you're coming back going, is that enough that you would go, if he wasn't our player, would we want to sign him from Aberdeen? So for me, he wasn't that player. Funnily enough, though, put the boy in his right position and see what he can do.
Yeah.
And he's turning it on. He's now one of 4 international centre-backs that we've got. So the improvement from the start of the season till now it's clear to be seen. The jersey's his. And until he makes a mistake, you can't take it away from him. And like Jerry said right at the start, first few games, you were waiting for the mistake to come. And it generally did. And now he's gotten so solid that you're no longer waiting for the mistake because you've got so much confidence in him now. And that's, again, it's testament to how far he's come in just, 2-3 months. Amazing development.
Yeah, and he's now playing alongside someone who he can form a partnership with in Cameron Carter-Vickers, who is solid at the back. John Mullaney, you're coming in to say, I find it astonishing that there was over 2,000 empty seats and we only received a pitiful 576. Something has to be done. Well, if Scottish football authorities know what's good for them, they will have to do something to fix that situation. Martin Davey, O'Reilly's goal is a goal of the season, without a doubt in my eyes. Class. Absolutely, this early in the season, it's up there. I thought the goal against Lazio, the way that we worked that goal was phenomenal as well. Boys on tour, are we playing better under Brendan? What I would say, right, is see when Ange Postecoglou's team was at its best, Jerry, it was phenomenal to watch. It was sensational. It was swashbuckling to watch, right? But remember near the end of his time, it all got a wee bit, flat. And now with hindsight, we're looking at that thinking, is that because Ange Postecoglou knew within himself he was leaving the club? He'd already made a decision within his own mind he was going to leave the club. That then starts filtering down. No matter how hard you try, no one can pretend that they're all right in a scenario like that. And it might have filtered into the players. And I thought a lot of the performances near the end of the season were really, really flat. So are we playing better than then? 100%. We're playing better now than we were at the beginning of the season under Brendan. Both styles are going to be different, but I think there's an element of Brendan's game, Jerry, personally. I feel that there's an element of his game that he has over Ange in that he can kill a game where it doesn't look like much has happened for up to half an hour of a game, but it's done deliberately. We almost like just put the blockers in and the team can't get at us. We maybe not creating as much as we would like, and we take a breather. And I remember at the end of the game, actually, Brendan Rodgers spoke about rest, but rest with the ball. And I think that's what he's getting at, Jerry. We can take our foot off the pedal, right, for 20, 25, 30 minutes, and we're resting. And then what inevitably happens after that is we get another goal. We've done it at Pittodrie. We've done it yesterday at Tynecastle. I'm not rewriting history. Ange Postecoglou was a phenomenal coach for Celtic. Superb, and he'll do really, really well wherever he is. But I do think that there's certain elements of Brendan's play that are going to work just as well, if not better, for us.
Yeah. I've got a good analogy for this, mate. I think.
Go for it.
Kev, you ready for this analogy time? So,
I'm on the edge of my seat. Give us it.
At the end of the day, right, the riches that we're going for are the same, right? The jewels are in the safe, right? And we're used to this swashbuckling, like you say, and we're used to it with Ange's team. It was, let's just blow this safe apart, boom, and take what we need. But with Brendan Rodgers, a bit more tinkering with the dial, you know? Got to get the old stethoscope out, have a listen. That's how he gets into the safe. So, does it really matter how we get that treasure? We're getting it in the end. And we look back in years to come and we can brag about all the gold and the jewels that we've got. And that was actually no bad for me.
I love that. You know what it reminded me of, Jerry? You've seen a film called Down Among the Big Boys. You've seen that movie with Billy Connolly, right? You not seen it?
No.
You should seek it out. Down Among the Big Boys, right? I think that's the name of it. And it was written by Peter McDougall, who wrote things like...
That's a dodgy thing to put into Google, by the way.
No, Billy Connolly. And there's a bank job where they're going into a safe, and it's very memorable. That's what we'll say. Actually, there's a cameo in that particular movie. Bobby Murdoch's in that film. There's a scene in a boozer, and Bobby Murdoch is in the film. Trust me, he's in that film. Check it out. All McDougall's films are absolutely superb, and that was I think it was made in the 1990s. So, the styles and all the rest of it are of their time. But there's a bank job when they are trying to get into the safe, and up above them in the street there is a certain orange walk taking place, and they time it so that every time there's a big boom on the drum, they explode it.
Oh, right.
Check it out. Definitely worth watching.
So Bobby's in it as well. So if they type in Down Among the Big Boys /Bobby, right?
Yeah,
cool.
Go for it. Yeah, you'll be fine. You'll be absolutely fine.
Oh, Jerry, you're a bad man.
Don't worry about it, Jerry.
Don't let me on with him again, because he's giggled away and I can't.
He is encouraging this behaviour. Double Denim, always a pleasure to see you. Afternoon, folks. Really enjoyed the match yesterday. Some of the build-up play was exceptional, and if we can find Kyogo more regularly, then I think we'll be hard for any team to live with. Yes, before we move on to Kyogo and the other goal scorers, what about Palma then? Jerry, Palma is becoming something of a fan's favourite. He's got a lot of tricks in his armoury. I think he's a different type of player to Jota. He isn't the type of guy who has that blistering pace and the trickery, but he does create chances, and he did that at the weekend. Sometimes I've been watching games against teams who pack their defence, and you just can't pickpocket them, and it's just a wee dink over the top. We were 3 minutes in and he tries it to great effect. He is now, for me, he's a first pick. He's in the strongest 11, if you ask me. Louis Palma, were you impressed yesterday with his performance?
Massively. From what I've seen in the extended highlights and from listening to it, you just heard his name all the time. That's kind of a good sign, I think, if you're constantly hearing his name from the commentary team. I've been a fan of him from the start. I've always liked him. Low averages. I've said that about a lot of players, that they're going to be great, but I got it right with Palma. Can I just say, with Double Denim coming up there as well, it's something really funny he told me yesterday, and it will hark back to the game, and I'll not mention it again. You know how, obviously, last Sunday with the St. Roch's game, and his little boy is so cute. He'd sent us a good luck video, and he's a big fan of the show, so he was looking forward to me coming on. So I got my wee cameo, obviously, last Sunday. But they were watching Celtic play yesterday, and his wee boys turned to him and says, "When's Jerry coming on?"
Brilliant.
With the actual Celtic team. How cute's that?
That's
so, Brendan, get it sorted out, all right? This kid wants to see me play.
Well,
anyway, Palma,
just drop him a wee WhatsApp.
You could have come on yesterday, Jerry. Wouldn't have made any difference.
Do you know what I was laughing at when I was up? Because obviously up doing the Fran interview, and I thought, imagine Brendan walks out and sees me in the stadium and be like, "What's this guy doing? He's stalking me." He'd probably think that was after him.
Don't sign him, Fran. That's what he would be saying.
But Louis Palmer, I think there was a lot of people saying, is it going to be Yang? Is it going to be Palmer? I think he's got that kind of, like you said, that swashbuckling, that he's got that kind of, I don't know, what's the right wording for it? Like I said, Jota had the flair and he's got it's almost like the safe analogy again.
It is a bit. You can still pickpocket them, but in a different way. Absolutely.
Aye.
Yeah.
But that dink across, and to do it, like you say, within 3 minutes of a game, to find your range that quickly to the both of them for the setup and the finish. He's an exciting player now. He's had so much hard luck, that Lazio game. The way he celebrated that goal, you just saw the passion coming out of him, and I was gutted for him. So then to go in the next game and then just replicate it and get a lot of players, their heads could go down after that, you know, and they're stuck the adrenaline out him, but no, he just keeps going, he keeps giving, and he just looks like he wants to play, and he looks like he enjoys playing. That's the thing you don't see a lot anymore. I don't think it's like maybe some nerves get involved, but to see a player really enjoy playing football, and I'm a big fan, big fan.
The thing is as well, Jerry, is when you look at the players that have come in, right, he's the only guy that started the game. He's the only new signing that started the game. The rest of that team was assembled, by previous managers. Brendan Rodgers obviously was the manager when Palmer came in. He is the only one, 9 games in, who's actually made such an impression that he's getting a game. And I know that Nawrocki might have been in the side had it not been for injury, but I find it interesting that when you look at that list of 9 players who we signed at the beginning of the season, he's the man that's making that impact. Now, Martin O'Neill saw the movie I was talking about recently. Yeah, it's definitely one to watch. And we've also got...
Is that the Martin O'Neill there now?
Probably. Estepona Boy. Was Frankie Miller in that film? Frankie Miller was in a previous Peter McDougall film called Just a Boys Game, which is unmissable as well. And I think it was filmed in Greenock, that type of area. So it's worth watching.
That's where they filmed Sweet 16 as well, was it not?
You're right, aye. We Martin Compston, the Celtic fan. And also we've got, listen, we'll bring this up because I agree with it. Robbie, thanks for supporting the channel. Great seeing Forrest get his game time legend. Kevin, did you hear Brendan Rodgers' comments on James A. Forrest after the game?
I have not. No. Please enlighten me.
He singled him out for praise. He singled James A. Forrest out for praise. The way that he was able to perform coming into the game, doing exactly what he was advised. We spoke about it before the game. He's a player that Brendan Rodgers is going to use, Kevin. And in a game like that yesterday, I actually even thought, had Maeda been injured, because we weren't sure until maybe the day before the game, Forrest, I think, would have got the nod.
Oh, aye. There are going to be games this season that he'll start because he's James Forrest and because he can handle it. So your alternative, if Maeda couldn't make it, your alternative to Forrest was going to be Yang. And Yang couldn't hack the atmosphere at Fir Park when that game decided to go against him. So, in theory, you're going to Tynecastle, which should be that toxic environment that we spoke about before, because obviously Hearts are going to fill their stadium with the 17 or 18,000 fans that they've got that go every week, and they're going to make it that intimidating environment. So you don't want to put Yang into that. You want to give it to Forrest. And there will be games that he'll just go in, he'll use that experience, the old head, and he's still got it in the legs as well. Like, Forrest's still a good player. He's only, 32, something like that? So maybe the pace is going a wee bit. Don't you think he's...
I can up against his brother. That sibling rivalry that they'll have. Like, going up against his brother.
So he's going to want to put one over him as well.
Exactly. So he'd have to up his game even more. Like, that's extra pressure.
My apologies. Yeah, he's ancient. He's 32. Has he put you that first couple of Jerry?
Was he 32?
32, yeah.
So he's maybe lost a wee bit of pace, but that's it. He's got everything else up there. And I think he must have set up 2 or 3 chances after he came on. So
he's looking sharp, Kevin.
I'm not surprised that Brendan talked him up. Because he had a big impact. Him and Iwata, the 2 of them were both solid when they came on.
Yeah, they absolutely were. Paul Byrne comes in to say both Rodgers and O'Reilly mentioned Palmer's passing. He's clearly showing it in training as well. Yeah, he is. Now, Dyson Maeda, he's a player that, you know what, I think it's time that we just say he's got a few foibles, right? So he obviously misplaces a pass, which gives Hearts a wee bit of a lifeline at 3-0 down. And a couple of his crosses went astray. But Jerry, I'm happy to live with the kind of issues when you get what he gives positively. He gets his goal, a scrappy effort in the 6-yard box. But Dyson Maeda, for me, every single week, one of the first names on the team sheet.
Oh, definitely. By the way, I've just wrote down the word foibles. I mean, mate, this is why you're an award-winning podcast. Outstanding. That's belter, mate. Belter. So, he's the first name on the team sheet. Everyone forgives the fact that technically sometimes with his finishing, he's not great. But however, right, look at the speed he moves at. Now, how can you get any finesse anywhere when you move that fast? That's like trying to make a cup of tea in a tornado. Do you know what I mean? It's not going to happen. Just accept that we've got him for what he is. Do you know what I mean? He's sensational. He teleports. I'm pretty sure he teleports because 1 minute you're and it's like, oh no, he's here now. What he gives to the game, unreal. He's just so composed looking all the time as well. And great to see him get a goal, you say. So big fan of Maeda. Hopefully keep a hold of him.
Well, listen, you're going to be there on Wednesday night, right? And people always go back to that moment against Real Madrid. Kevin McCluskey and I were covering that game. And I remember after even 60, 65 minutes, whenever the first goal went in, Kev, Celtic were still in that game. I've never done it. I'm going to do it at some point. You and I at half-time were actually daring to dream that we were going to get a result that night against Real Madrid. But often what happens is people go on about Maeda and say, that missed it. He should have scored, etc., etc. Is there a ghost of Real Madrid past that he can extinguish on Wednesday night, Kev?
Let's hope so, eh? I mean, that miss will hang over him for long enough because that's a potential sliding doors moment, eh? Like, what if he scores that goal? You either unleash the bear that is Real Madrid and they come and blow us away because they're a sensational team, or we beat Real Madrid. We've got that chance. So he does still have that hanging over him. Let's hope he can get a goal on Wednesday night to, dispel that. But he's, like Jerry says, he's just such a good player. And I love the analogies. You can't make a cup of tea in a tornado. So you can't expect him.
Ewan Cameron's phoning me. Can answer this?
All right, I put him on.
Hello, Ewan. I'm good. How are you?
Not too bad. When you called, I was already...
Just in case he swears. Yes, just to inform anybody who might have missed it.
You're live on my podcast right now. I've not got your
Ewan Cameron,
we're on the Celtic State of Mind podcast.
Has agreed to wear a Celtic
did you do it?
Show. Did he do it? We're finding out.
Yep.
Was the top that stopped Rangers winning 10 in a row?
You wore the Celtic top that stopped Rangers winning the 10 in a row. You're an absolute legend, mate. An absolute.
The first season that Larson joined us.
Oh, that is fantastic. You've got about 1,000 people listening to you live right now, buddy. So I think you
get out of here.
That.
Brilliant. Good man.
Words. You set the gauntlet and I bet, and there I am. For an hour and a half wearing a Celtic jersey on the podcast.
Mate,
good man,
you are a great sport. You're a great sport, buddy. We really appreciate it, and we'll have a wee chat about that now. But I'll give you a wee bell, mate, because I've got something to ask you later.
No problem, mate. Call me anytime.
Good man. All the best, Shane. Cheers, mate.
Cheers, Jerry. All the best, mate.
Bye-bye.
Oh, man. What we're going to have to do is a feature on a Monday where Jerry just randomly phones a famous person and we get them live on a Celtic State of Mind. Well, how about that? No, superb, Jerry. Thanks for that. Fair play to you as well. Fair play.
It's like the time when Neil Lennon was doing his interview and one of the journalists' wife calls him and he answered the phone.
That's right. I remember Keno. Remember Keno doing it and he wasn't as delighted, was he?
He wasn't quite as happy.
No. As accommodating, was he? Thomas, and that was brilliant.
Imagine him on this podcast. Keno would hate me.
Do you think? Maybe we get him for a live.
Oh, he'd hate me, mate. He'd hate me. I'm too loud.
Yang is a lightweight, says Thomas. Forrest, for me, a no-brainer. Hail from down under. I think what it is with Yang is you've got a player coming in, and albeit there are other South Korean players in the squad, you've got to consider the acclimatization to the country, to the weather, to the culture, to the football club, the style of football, the speed of Scottish football, all that stuff. And then you get a scenario where he's at Fir Park, and I thought he was spooked because there was a couple of occasions where he's gone down and the Motherwell fans got right on top of him, accusing him of diving, booing every time he got the ball and all that. I don't think Yang knew what was happening, to be honest. And I think that has been a consideration since that particular game. He was hooked at half-time, and I think that had he not been hooked at half-time, the same thing would have happened when he started against Lazio, because he wasn't great in the first half then as well. But I don't want to write him off. I think that we've seen transformations physically in players over the last couple of years. If you look at Matt O'Reilly when he first signed compared to Matt O'Reilly now, physically he has transformed. Rio Atati is another one. You look at when he came in, carrying a wee bit, and you look at him now, he looks absolutely lean. And I think the same thing will happen eventually with Yang as well. We'll bulk him up, and he will be someone who will be in contention for a jersey. And Corvo, NUFC, I feel sorry for James's brother going to James's house and seeing all the winners' medals. That must be gutting for him, eh?
What do you think it's like at Christmas? Do you think they sit around the table, do you think James just winds them right up?
I'm kind of hoping they're both mad Celtic fans. I'm kind of hoping that is a situation at Christmas time. You know, Jamesy might give him one of the sponsors' medals at Christmas time. You know how they get 2 medals when they win the league? Get a sponsor. Give him one of that. Give the wee guy one of them. Ridiculizer. I've got a story. I'm going to have to share this with you, right? Just the Boys game, essential viewing. It is. Anybody who hasn't seen it, seek it out. I think it might be on YouTube in full. But as some of you may know, back in 2015-16 time, I was part of a team that made a documentary, which was an adaptation of a book that I'd written about Neely Mockin. It's called Celtic Smiler. It's also on YouTube if you want to watch it free. And when we were making it, the director, he was telling me that his dad was an actor back in the day. You might have seen him in a few things. His name is Campbell Morrison. He was in Dream Team. Was it Dream Team? I think so. Aye, Dream Team. And he was in things like El Dorado. Remember the soap opera back in the day? You remember that, right? Ginger-haired guy. And he was in Just a Boys game. Incredibly, he was in that movie with Frankie Miller, and I found that out when I was actually making this documentary with Luke, and his father was in that film. So there you go. But yeah, check it out. We've given it a good plug today, and you will not regret watching it. Absolutely phenomenal. When does the Jerry show finish? We could, Barry, give him his own hour at some point during the week.
No. Do you know something? This is something that I'm worried about as well, right? Because I don't want people thinking that I'm doing this to make it all about me. It's not. It's just the circumstances that have led to this. And I'm passionate about Celtic, and I want to get as much content out there as I can. So if you think it's a Jerry Taylor show, I apologise, but that will come out next year. I do a show called the Jerry Taylor Show.
All right, nice. Is it like the Jerry Springer show?
No, that would be funny though. No, it's like a big variety show I usually do. But
brilliant, nice.
Who was it that said that comment? Just to take a note of their name.
It's Barry. Tony yesterday heard me say to you and get it up here. Yeah, I did. It slipped out. Sorry. And we've all talked a wee bit. I don't know if you heard it, Jerry. We all talk a wee bit more about Rio Atati. I was speaking about his physical transformation. Seriously, look back on some of the early games compared to him now. He has transformed. And also his performances this season, starting off at Kelly, taking it into Tynecastle, have also improved under Brendan Rodgers. Kevin, we spoke about just keep giving him games and he'll play through it, and we'll see the Rio that we know and love. And I think we're seeing it again.
Yeah, I think so. It was something we spoke about last season with him as well. Anytime he came back from injury, he was one of those boys that needed 2, 3, 4 games to get back up to speed. And then he would just kick on and move up another level every single time. And that's all he's needed this season. Right? He had such a stop-start to the season because he was out for the first few games. Turnbull scored a few goals, so you can't take him out of the team when he's scoring. Then he picks up the injury at Pittodrie, so it's like every time he was taking a step forward, there was 2 steps back almost. And now he gets 2 or 3 games in a row, and you can just see him like, I'd say it all the time, definitely domestically, he's just that level above almost everyone else in the park. Maybe apart from Matt O'Reilly now in the middle, because he's just elevating every week. But every time he gets the ball now, you're just seeing like the cogs are turning, everything's becoming back to normal for him now. He's seeing the passes, he's trying them, it's the wee flicks, and you know, if he scores the penalty yesterday, he's had a perfect game because he's had a hand in 2 goals. And he's just so unfortunate with that penalty. It's just, it's almost perfect because he's put the keeper the wrong way. It's going in the corner. He's just hit the post with it. You can forgive him because in the end it didn't really mean anything. We win the 3 points. But he's such a key player for us, as I say, especially domestically. I will, you know, say again, still have some doubts about him when it comes to Europe. But then again, I think that's just because the players around him and then the step up in opposition that we're playing against. You can make mistakes in the Scottish League and you're not going to get punished for them the same. You make a mistake against a team like Lazio and you get punished in like the most cruel way. And I know that wasn't his mistake, but it's just an example. Like, so
if we take that into Wednesday, right? I mean, last season, I didn't look at that campaign and think Rio Hatate hasn't stepped up. Yeah, I'm talking the Champions League campaign, Jerry. I didn't think he was a guy that let us down. And obviously, the clip of that pass against Real Madrid where Ivanovic throws the ball at him, and you know it was such an instinctive Hollywood box office ball that he played across the park. You know, only so many people on the pitch could do that in a green and white jersey. He's one of them. I didn't think he had a bad campaign. This season, I think he's been unfortunate with the timing. When we played Feyenoord, I remember him playing quite high up the park, and he was the guy that was running down and racing down the defenders to try and obviously play the high line. He wasn't really in his groove at that stage, but I think with the Kilmarnock and the Hearts victories behind him, and in between that, playing pretty well for Japan during the international break as well, Wednesday night, it's like it's all set up for him to go out and have a vintage Rio Hatate performance. Jerry, do you think he needs it? Because I've not really been that concerned about him this season. I'm not writing off the performances this season in Europe just yet. I just don't think he was on the best of form at that time, whereas now he is.
Yeah, I think you're right. He's starting to find his form. And the way you've built that up there, now I believe that he's going to have a great game on Wednesday because it's all set up for it now, isn't it? You used the word there, finding his groove. I think that's exactly what it's been. There's been a lot of uncertainty. We're losing a manager that he was probably really close to.
Yeah.
And then maybe getting a carrot dangled in front of him. And then obviously that was a bit of uncertainty, the injury, all that stuff. And finally, he's signed his contract. He's playing regularly and he's starting to look more like the Hatate of old. And like Kev said, without the penalty miss, it was a perfect performance almost. Kind of had a feeling he was going to miss it. I don't know why. I think because his penalty before was guff. And then that one, can you call a penalty miss a good penalty? Because it didn't look a good penalty. Sometimes when it hits the post, you're like, oh. Because he struck it better than the one that he scored. What's that?
I said he struck it better than the one that he actually scored.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, he did. Do you take him off the penalties, Jerry?
For our viewers in Costa Rica, Jerry, can you explain guff?
Guff. No, very good.
No, very good. Do you take him off the penalties?
I take him off the penalties because I don't think he's great when it comes to his head goes down a bit. I think we all know that with Hatate. If he doesn't have a great start to a game at times, if he's missed that penalty now, but then again, it hit the post, so I don't know. The keeper didn't save it. He might still be that. I just always think, right? Maybe I'm old-fashioned. You're paying a striker thousands of pounds to learn how to put a ball in a net. Why is there a striker? Why is Kyogo our best finisher? Not putting. And I know Larson didn't. He said this on the other show. He wasn't a penalty taker. I don't get it. I do not get it. The most composed person in front of goal. That anytime you want him to get the ball to finish, why is he not hitting it when it's directly just him and the goalkeeper? It baffles me. Is it a case of, oh, come on, he gets loads of goals, so let's give another player a chance to get goals? I'm not buying into that. Whoever can put that ball in it, it's got to be Kyogo, surely.
Kyogo, I think the point yesterday was about who takes the set pieces. Matt O'Reilly, Louis Palma, David Turnbull, who obviously wasn't playing. But that type of player, I think, would be confident in taking the penalties as well. But, you know, it's one of these things where these types of decisions are made on a training park. You know, they're not made, even though, you know, when the penalty was being taken, I think, by Kyogo originally against Livingston, and Callum McGregor told him, no, Hatate was to take it. That was the penalty, wasn't it? So you think these things are all decided due to the fact that they've had a success rate at training. I always go back to the 1977 Scottish Cup final. Kenny Dalglish was a penalty taker. Andy Lynch took the penalty. Why? Against Rangers in a 1-0 win, because he won a penalty competition at Seamill Hydro the day before the game. And that's why he took the penalty. Now his name's in history. Tony Cassidy. We're going to be talking about this next, actually. We're going to jump to this. Tony Cassidy, great interview with Fran, Jerry. It was Fran Alonso, the manager, of course, of Celtic FC Women. Jerry, you were at the game yesterday. It was probably the worst performance of the season for Fran's men. Have you given them the Jerry jinx? That's all I want to know.
Yeah, 100%. 100%. He's not banned me yet, but the free scoring, they've been doing brilliant. I go to one, the first game I go to it and they get beat, and the manager says it's the worst they've performed all season. Great. However, the occasion, it was good. And I want to be honest here as well. I really want to help be a champion of this game as well, like a lot of men are. And like we all are on this show. But I was worried, and I'm going to be honest, because I know a lot of men will be feeling the same. I want to get this stigma away. I was worried that I was going to go there and have to pretend that I was as passionate. I genuinely did. And I thought, I'm going to be an absolute hypocrite here because I'll have to be honest if I can't get into it. But it doesn't matter who's wearing that jersey, mate. As soon as my butt hit that seat, I was 100% invested. And what a team, by the way. And I mean that. They didn't have a great game, but I was lucky enough to watch them train as well. They have got some brilliant players, by the way. And I mean, right, we've got, and I'm trying to learn the names of them all. Paula Partido-Duran, right? She's 18, I think. They've got her on loan from Real Madrid, right? Mm-hmm. She got brought in the last 5 minutes. Wow. And I mean, wow. Nobody could get near her at times. And I was like, I'd like to have seen more of her, definitely. But she's been playing great all season, apparently. For tactics, I don't know what reasons dropped for the game, but wow. Also, big Sydney Cummings at the back, big tall defender. She is brilliant. She's not played for about 3 months, apparently. They got her, if I'm right in saying, from a team in Australia, if I'm right in saying. And I was getting Pierre Van Dijk vibes in the way she plays, so controlled at the back, winning every header, so assured. And she's not played for about 3 months, apart from, I think, last week. One for the watching, and then Lefersky, I think I'm saying it right, come on towards the end as well. Looked like an absolute unit and just tearing down that wing. So really excited. And it doesn't matter. And we always go, there's no player bigger than the jersey. We say that all the time. And that doesn't matter what gender that is. Nobody's bigger than that jersey. I was there and I was watching Celtic. And I was so happy that I actually automatically just fell in love with watching their game as well. And I'm sorry that it's taken me so long. And I'm sorry I was so ignorant about it and so naive. And Celtic. And I'll be there to watch as many games as I can now.
Brilliant. No, I'm delighted. We started watching the games, I think, during the pandemic, during the lockdown, covered a lot of the games live as well. And yes, it is something I think that's been building. So disappointed for Fran and his team at the weekend. You never want to get beat against Rangers at any sport, at any level. But yeah, we'll keep an eye on them. We'll keep, obviously, the updates coming on Acsom as well. Now, John Clements has obviously watched the movie we're talking about, Down Among the Big Boys, because that is his kind of motif. That is what he says, is his motto. Billy Connolly, tickety boo, yes. And Stubbs Lanigan, Frankie Miller, stare in Just a Boys Game. Watch it. It happens in a toilet and he stares somebody out, and if you're watching it, he'll freak you out. He was such a good actor, and he never ever acted again, Frankie Miller, after that one movie. I want to give a wee bit of credit, I think, to Chimoki Awata. Kevin is a player that we spoke about quite a bit yesterday, of course, who must be a manager's dream. He doesn't, he's not got the petted lip. He doesn't throw the toys out the pram, but he rarely plays. I was looking at this here in terms of his minutes. He's only made 3 appearances this season, including yesterday, and he's only racked up 76 minutes. Now, as a professional footballer, to have played 76 minutes, it would be natural to become frustrated. You're kicking your heels on the bench. But I think what we've seen with Awata is when he's called upon, he always makes an impact. He's composed. He's strong on the ball. We've seen it against Feyenoord when we were really up against it. He came in at centre-half. I don't think that's his best position, personally. And we've seen it yesterday at Tynecastle. He comes in and he starts bossing the midfield. Different type of player from the other 3 midfielders. But he's shown that he will be an option going forward as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And you've got to look at him as well, given the pre-season that he had. Because he played every single game during pre-season. I know he was playing out of position at right back, but he's played every single game. And then it comes to like the proper games, the season starts properly, and he's at the team. I don't even think he was even getting on the bench for some of the games as well. So that must have been like a right kick to his ego, if nothing else, to find yourself kind of completely out the picture. But you're right, every time he comes in, and it doesn't matter if he plays right back, centre midfield, where he should be playing, he just gives it his all every single time. And you know, he did it last season when he was coming on in games. There's the 3-2 win against Rangers at Celtic Park. He came on and showed up in the midfield when we were losing that for a wee bit. And then yesterday, he didn't show up in midfield that we were losing, but he just gave us something else. He gave us that wee bit extra fight. He allowed other players to get forward and do different things. And then he gets his goal himself. So every single time he comes on, he gives us something different. That wee bit physical presence in midfield, so calm and composed in the ball. I think we said yesterday, I don't think I've seen him give away 2 consecutive passes in a game. Like, his passing's that accurate, and it's not, he doesn't always play the safe pass either. He tries to do something with it. And the word I'd used before, so Jerry, this is one for you. He doesn't just posture in games. He's always asking for the ball. He's never hiding for it. Like, he's not one of those players that will come on and just try and not make an impact. Just be happy to be there. He wants to make an impact. He wants to do something every time he gets in the pitch, and he generally does. And maybe yesterday, him coming on is a sign that he might be in Brendan's plans or thoughts for Wednesday night to give that more physical, athletic presence in the midfield against Atletico. You never know.
Well, what I was going to say actually before you made that point, Kevin, is that I think he's the ideal player, right? That if you have a game plan against Atletico Madrid or any of these European sides and it works and you get your nose in front and say you're 60, 65 minutes in, you then bring him in to shore it up. You change, you adapt, and that's obviously something that Brendan Rodgers can do. I think he'd be key to bring into a game that you've maybe already won. You just need to bring him in to see it through to the 90th minute and get that result. And I don't mean go ultra defensive. I just think he gives you that wee bit of, for me, backup. He can lock the door for you in the midfield, and he does it really, really well. So I'm pretty sure we will see him on Wednesday night. Gentlemen, you guys will not be back on the show until then, so I want a prediction for Atletico Madrid. Jerry, I'm going to come to you first. You're going to be at the game. Give me a prediction.
2 each.
2 each. Entertaining game. Plenty of goals. And Kevin McCluskey, what do you think?
I'm going to second that. I think 2 each as well. Let's do that.
Each, right. Okay, well, I'm going to say 2-1 Celtic. And Iwata comes on and shows it up when we get our nose ahead. We are now after
Rio Hatate's got the second goal.
Hatate will get the second goal. Kyogo will get the first. It's been phenomenal. We've had a wee guest coming in impromptu there. Brilliant. But thank you, everybody, for getting involved in the comments. As I say, keep your eyes peeled. We're going to be announcing very soon a big charity game for 2024. And that will be in aid of wee Jamie Tierney. We're going to be doing what we did the other week there, and hopefully we've learned a few things from it as well, and we'll get a Celtic team together. I'm not going to tell you what the opponent, who the opponent will be, but that will all be revealed very, very soon. Thanks, everybody, for getting involved. All our links are underneath the video. If you want to come along and see Martin O'Neill, either in Dumfries or Dundee, then there's a few tickets left. I'll get an update on that as well. But come along, say hello to Martin O'Neill, and say hello to me as well. Thanks, everybody, for getting involved. Thank you, Jerry Taylor, Kevin McCluskey, for joining me on the Celtic State of Mind.